Hello, everybody. Hi. It feels like I haven't been with you in a while, but it's been a week. Last Tuesday, last Monday, I accidentally streamed on the wrong channel. So, those that were waiting for the sexual addiction recovery didn't get it. And those that followed me to the other channel found it. So I feel really bad about it. I have a new software. It works really nice, but it's one of those things that I'm just working with. Um, so I uploaded how to do step 8 and 9 onto the YouTube channel, so it should be there for you. Boy, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the program. It's because it's what I try to practice every day of my life. It works if you do it, and it doesn't work if you don't do it. We're going to be talking about step 10 and 11. There are so many metaphors. They're just all around. Like, for instance, I was cleaning my glasses. They're pretty dirty. I just grabbed something with water on it, and I see so much clearly now. That's important. That's steps 10 and 11. I had to use the bathroom before. I didn't drink enough water, and I won't go into the details, but you can tell when you don't drink enough water. To get those toxins out, everything looks too dark. We were made to get rid of toxins. We have livers, we have kidneys to purify things. And if we just hold on to stuff, it's going to make us sick. So, steps 1 through 9 helps us recover from a major disaster. Steps 10 and 11 help us do this every day of our life, and it becomes quite simple. Simple is good. Simple. Keep it simple. If we're uptight, if we're stressed, if we're fearful, if we're sad, depressed, angry, I can tell you one thing: it's probably not simple. Something has happened to where we're complicating things. So I hope you have your trusty AA book here. We'll turn to page 84, and I have it just right here. So actually, it may be page 83. The middle of page 83 says, the spiritual life is not a theory, we have to live it. That, again, points to how this is a program, a spiritual program of action. These are the promises. These promises really are describing step 9, but I will read them so that it flows with where we go into today. It says, if we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity. And no matter how much and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They will always materialize if we work for them. This thought brings us to step 10, which suggests we take personal inventory and continue to set right any new mistakes as we go along. We vigorously commenced this way of living as we had cleaned up the past. We have entered the world of the Spirit. Our next function is to grow in understanding and effectiveness. This is not an overnight matter. It should continue for our lifetime. Continue to watch for selfishness, dishonesty, resentment, and fear. When these crop up, we ask God at once to remove them. We discuss them with someone immediately and make amends quickly if we have harmed anyone. Then we resolutely turn our thoughts to someone we can help. Love and tolerance of others is our code. We're going to take just a brief share here. So step 9 promises really apply to the whole program. You can see that we're transitioning from something that's major, getting rid of these blockages, to now something that should continue for a lifetime. There are basically 4 things we're looking for, and I don't always get them in order, but resentments, fears, dishonesty, and selfishness, which is the root of all our troubles, it says. Notice we're not fighting lust. We're not trying to not lust here. And if you go to meetings and most of the time you're just trying to not lust, good luck on that. I don't think it works, and I don't think that's the program. It says in the AA book that liquor, or we can say lust, was but a symptom. So if you get at the root causes, not only will lust go away, it'll be easy to get sober and stay sober. It's hard to believe saying that, I'm sure, and I'm not trying to say it's hard at first, but now if I did it again, it would be easier if I had a sponsor that took me through the steps the way that they should go. I'm losing power here. Hold on. Never good to lose power. Somehow the cord just came unplugged from the little mag. It's a magnet one. So going to the book here, this is probably my favorite section. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even lust or alcohol, for by this time sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in liquor or lust. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see that our new attitude towards liquor or lust has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it. Neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position in neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. So, it's shocking for a lot of people to read this. It's right there. So, we've ceased fighting anything or anybody. What does that really mean? It's like we're not fighting the world. We're not fighting the bad things, the evil forces. Yeah, no, it's really not about that. And it says dash, even liquor or lust. So we're not even fighting that. If we're fighting it, we're not experiencing the program somehow. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. It says we react sanely and normally. Our attitude towards liquor or lust has been given or gifted to us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We are neither fighting it, nor are we, forget some of the words, but We've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We have not even sworn off. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We are neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. So you do the steps, you'll get that state. What is that state? The state is the grace of God, where you're not trying in your own power to do things. God gifts you the power to do it, and that it all works out. Let's see here. I think we should just plow on ahead. So, step 10 and 11 are so closely intertwined, I just don't really divide them up. Because you're really, 10 is really scanning for any of those areas which are going to block God's grace. Step 11 is really a morning and evening meditation to improve our conscious contact with God. It says here, it is easy to let up on a spiritual program of action and rest on our laurels. We are headed for trouble if we do, for alcohol or lust is a subtle foe. We are not cured of sexaholism. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent upon the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Every day is a day when we must carry the vision of God's will into all our activities. How can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. These are thoughts which must go with us constantly. We can exercise our willpower along this line all we wish. It is the proper use of the will. So it's a spiritual program of action. If we do that, we get a daily reprieve. We'll have everything we need to stay sober the rest of our life, as if it seems like it doesn't exist. But are we cured of it? Well, that'd be like in a Christian manner saying, I'm cured of sin, I'd never sin again. No. But if I take these steps, I seem to have a better time with it. You won't be perfect at this, but you will go from a state to always being tempted, and more tempted to it just doesn't really exist. There's a huge difference between being tempted and actually engaging in it. What this 12-step program does is help you not engage with it. And you'll learn to ignore it. There are other techniques and tools after we get through the steps I'll probably share on how to overcome lust, but it's not by your strength. Okay. And then, let's see, let's go back to, yes, how can I best serve thee? Thy will, not mine, be done. So that's a prayer you're always surrendering to God, and then God will take care of everything. Much has already been said about receiving strength. That sounds like power. Inspiration, that sounds like power and God's grace. And direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed directions, not carelessly, but if we have carefully followed directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense, but we must go further, and that means more action. Step 11 suggests prayer and meditation. We shouldn't be shy on this matter of prayer. Better men, and I add women, than we are using it constantly. It works if we have the proper attitude and work at it. It would be easy to be vague about this matter, yet we believe we can make some definite and valuable suggestions. Okay, what's going on here? So, prayer and meditation are a key to connecting with God. If we don't really connect with God through prayer and meditation, it all falls apart. It just doesn't work. yeah, to have a relationship with God, it requires some kind of prayer activity. A couple of really important things. God's not going to barge down the door into our life and force his way into us. It doesn't work that way. Two, you don't have to totally understand who God is totally to have him begin to work. All you have to do is have a willingness. As you pray more and have his power interact with you more, will you get to know God and who he really is? Oh, yeah. In fact, as you overcome lust and you go, my gosh, a few things are sure. One is I couldn't stop if my life depended upon it, and it did. And you'll realize God did it for you. And you'll be amazed that you're not quite sure how it happened, but it happened. You know the steps you took, but God is the one who delivered you from this, and also is delivering you day to day by doing the steps. So the more you get this surrendering of your will, the more God's will begins to work in your life. It says that's the only proper use of the will, is to surrender our will to the care of God as we understand God. So us figuring things out, analyzing, going to therapy, which I'm a therapist, that's helpful, but I do more coaching than therapy for this. Coaches tell you, do this and you'll get that. To analyze just inflates ego. Ego stands for edging God out. So you can look till you're blue in the face for the reasons why you use. You can try to find replacements and it'll take a long time. And if you can get over this some other way, then you're probably not a sexaholic. If you find that you are truly powerless, you can't stop, you need God's power, then the steps are as simply as how do you get rid of those things that block you from his power? 4 basic things that block us: resentments, fear. Fear is me trying to hold on to my own life and I'm relying on me. And then resentments are holding on to grudges. And it's all selfishness, self-orientedness. So when I have an inflated sense of self, God becomes small because it's me. Resentment is selfishness talking, saying, I didn't get what I wanted in the past. Wham. Anger is I'm not getting what I want now. And fear, and I have a lot of empathy for people who struggle with fear, but it's really, I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want. What if this happens? What if that? So if I've died to myself, it's no longer I who lives, but God lives in me. And I'm trying to shrink down my ego and myself. God's grace is gifted to the humble, but he's opposed to the proud. So then it works that way. That's how it kind of works. So the steps really help get rid of deflation. Let's go here to the next section, which is step 11. So a couple of things though. It works if we have a proper attitude and work at it. If you don't have a proper attitude, and I hear people in meetings say things like, oh, I do it while driving, or I'm laying in my bed, or I'm in the shower, I pray. It's like, it's good to pray always, but the reality is that if you can't set aside 10 minutes in the morning to recover from this, you spend more time in a meeting, it's not going to work. Do you have to be perfect at it? No, but eventually when your life changes so much, you'll start to become dependent upon it and you'll be afraid not to pray. So it says it would be easy to be vague about this matter. This is written in the 1940s. Like, why would it be easy to be vague? My suspicion is even then they didn't want to ruffle feathers. There's no other reason I could logically figure out other than why would they want to be vague? It's because I don't think they want to ruffle feathers. And here they're going to give some definite, valuable suggestions. So this is what step 11 looked like to the early 12 steppers. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? Aha, there's those 4 apocalyptic horsemen of addiction always there. So you're always going to be scanning those things. Am I resentful? Am I holding a grudge? Am I selfish? Meaning I want what I want. Make the traffic get better. Make the coronavirus get better. I want sunshine. I didn't order rain. And we don't realize we're doing that. And that's why we're miserable. And then we feel like I deserve a break today. And then we go use. Dishonest. It has a couple of levels. If I'm lying to family members or lying to myself about things, I'm going to be in trouble. Do we owe an apology? Or am I afraid? I forgot that one. Okay. So at night, that's where I review. And I would encourage having kind of a little pad of paper. I don't have it with me, but yeah, a pad of paper. Really good idea. Doesn't have to be long-winded or anything, but it just helps at first. Pretty soon you can do it in your head and you're going to know where it's going to go. Do we owe an apology? It's as simple as yes or no. If we owe an apology, then we need to quickly apologize to the person. Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed? And here, when I said that, I realized I probably need to owe an apology to an insurance person who was helping me. I got really upset with them. I apologized in the middle of it, but I was just really frustrated with their poor customer service. It was just like not fun. That's a painter program. Oh, advertisements. Do we owe an apology? Have we kept something to ourselves which should be discussed with another person at once? So are we keeping things from others that should be discussed with them? If we did these things, it's going to be hard to have another addiction. It works that way. Were we kind and loving toward all? Often, unfortunately, I say no to myself because I'm just not that kind and loving towards all. There's always someone that I could have treated better. What could we have done better? Like, what a question is that? That's incredible. What could I have done better? If that's all we did, God would reveal to us what we could do better each day. Yeah, really amazing. Were we thinking of ourselves most of the time? And again, if you do this nightly, you'll begin to during the day realize I'm thinking of myself. That's why I'm upset. I'm not even thinking about what other people are going through. Or were we thinking of what we could do for others, of what we could pack into the stream of life? But we must be careful not to drift into worry, remorse, or morbid reflection, for that would diminish our usefulness to others. After making our review, we ask God's forgiveness and inquire what corrective measures should be taken. It's as simple as that. We humbly ask God for forgiveness. We don't beat ourselves up. No morbid reflection. Why? That'd just be more selfishness. That's just kind of how that works. On awakening, so now we're in the morning, we think about the 24 hours ahead. This goes back to the Bible. It's so obscure, but we're told by Christ to live one day at a time. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has enough trouble of its own. It's a strange verse, but I think what's being said is that there's enough trouble for today. And so this would be really, it'll take skill to just think about 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. Before we begin, we ask God to direct our thinking, especially asking that it be divorced from self-pity, dishonest, or self-seeking motives. So before what? Before we begin. I often make this before we even begin our day, but hear it in the context, it's before we consider our plan. So at the very beginning, we pray a prayer that says, God, please take away selfishness, dishonesty, or fearful motives. Help me to be divorced from all that. I add fear, but it could be resentful or whatever. Really important to start that way. It's like cleaning the glasses. If you want to see clearly, clean the glasses. If you want to see it through the lens of how bad people are, that's all you'll see. No, this would solve a lot of political problems, not to go there, but if people could just see each side having good intentions versus, someone's just trying to destroy something. We get along much better. Much, much better. So we're at the mercy of our eyesight. So asking God to help us see things clearly. Under these conditions, we can employ our mental faculties with assurance, for after all, God gave us brains to use. Our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to do so. As soon as we pray this, we can use our minds, but our thought life will be placed on a much higher plane when our thinking is cleared of wrong motives. Again, another powerful phrase that would solve a lot of the drama that we face in the world today. Because if we see things through these darkened motives, that's what we're going to get. We're just going to see more of that. And that's all we'll see. In thinking about our day, we may face indecision. We may not be able to determine which course to take. Here we ask God for inspiration, an intuitive thought, or a decision. We relax and take it easy. We don't struggle. We are often surprised how the right answers come after we have tried this for a while. So the big book authors are telling us that as people, we can have indecision. We can struggle between the two goods. Should I move? Should I stay? Should I date this person? Should I not? Should I go on an antidepressant, not go on an antidepressant? Should I go pick up some flowers for my wife or not? These things are really important to surrender, because right next to the florist shop may be a liquor store, you see. So, yeah, when we're driving the show, back as we talked about in step 4, then God's out of the picture. If I'm letting him be in the driver's seat, give me the power and the direction, it'll all work out. Yeah, no, it's really powerful. If you think about it, I'm not going to get preachy, but I'm just thinking logically. If God's God, he invented the whole world or created the whole world, the galaxies, the universe, the Milky Way galaxies, and beyond that. He knows everybody who's ever existed. He knows everybody that will exist. He has all knowledge, all power. Like the internet seems like it could be a contender for trying to take the place of God. Run to Almighty Google to help me. But no, he has all knowledge. He knows exactly what's the best day tomorrow for me. He has all power to help me connect in such a way with him and to get through that day. And he has a purpose for me. He knows what he wants for me. Can I block all this? Yeah, I actually can. That's the great mystery of why he lets me not let him in. But in his understanding of will in life and love, it appears that he doesn't want to control me. I have to willingly invite him in. And that's where I see that as one of the hearts of step 11 is I'm willingly having conscious contact with God, praying only for knowledge of God's will and the power to carry it out. God may be there, but I may be oblivious to him and certainly not tapped into his power. Sometimes there's a slip of the tongue and people say this funny phrase, sought through prayer and medication to improve our conscious contact with God. I think that's why we used our drug of choice. It was like, or behavior in this case, less. It was a medicine. It's we were not relaxing and taking it easy. We were struggling. We were wound up around the axle. We couldn't relax except without our drug of choice. Of course, the drug of choice started to mess with our minds and back and forth and the shame and the guilt, and it just goes on and on. So when you do the steps, you will have relaxation. You will be able to take it easy. You won't struggle. Earlier tonight, we read that we don't fight anything or anyone. If you're fighting anything or anyone, and I mean this politely, respectfully, then you're not doing the step, but somehow. So, and that's what I say to myself. That's right. I need to relax. Don't force a solution. God, what do you want to have happen the next 20 minutes here? God, be with me in this moment. Okay. And then it starts to work out. And we'll be surprised. You have to try it for a while, and the right answers will start to show up. What used to be a hunch or an occasional inspiration gradually becomes a working part of the mind. So it becomes a habit. Being still inexperienced and having just made conscious contact with God, it is not probable we're going to be inspired at all times. We might pay for this presumption in all sorts of absurd actions and ideas. Nevertheless, we find that our thinking will, as time passes, be more and more on the plane of inspiration. We come to rely upon it. We usually conclude the period of meditation with a prayer that we be shown all through the day what our next step is to be. And I'll talk about a prayer that I pray. Yeah, all through the day, what is my next step? That we be given whatever we need. Boy, that's simple. Whatever I need, God, to take care of such problems. We ask especially for freedom from self-will. Again, not my will be done. So don't give me what I'm asking for you, God. You tell me what you want. We may ask for ourselves. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, okay. We ask especially for freedom from self-will and are careful to make no requests for ourselves only. We may ask for ourselves, however, if others will be helped. We are careful never to pray for our own selfish ends. Many of us have wasted a lot of time doing that, and it doesn't work. You can easily see why. You know what? I don't easily see why. I'm not sure. I think, yeah, the answer is if I'm always wanting what I want, it doesn't work. Here's the opposite. If I pray, oh, is God's will, not mine, guess what? He's going to say yes to that. Then why don't I just say, God, I want your will, and press yes to all future? It doesn't work that way. Every single decision, I need to move the cursor that's defaulted to Eric's will to God's will. I just have to manually move that. And it works if I do it. And it doesn't if I don't. Just that simple. If circumstances warrant, we ask our wives and friends to join us in morning meditation. Wow. That's interesting. And I've seen it work beautifully, actually, when people are into recovery. You don't, I guess, have to be in recovery. You just invite someone into your morning meditation. If we belong to a religious denomination, which requires a definite morning devotion, we attend to that also. So it's telling us what to do, right? It says it right there. If not members of religious bodies, we sometimes select and memorize a few set prayers which emphasize the principles we have been discussing. All the steps. There are many helpful books also. Suggestions about these may be obtained from one's priest, minister, or rabbi. We are quick, be quick to see where religious people are right. Make use of what they have, what they offer. So here's the thing. There are prayers that we can pray. You can make up prayers, which are good, but I think that there's some value to pray prayers that are already written down. And here's why, because our hearts aren't always right. So when I'm praying a prayer, I'm trying to put my heart where my mouth is. It's kind of a trick question. Do I want to put my mouth where my heart is, or do I want to put my heart where my mouth is? If I'm praying a good prayer, like this prayer I really liked, it was helpful to me. A phrase from it said, Lord, help me to love you as I once loved sin. Help me to love you and serve you as much as I serve Satan, the deceiver and destroyer. It's like, for any sexaholic boy, if that were the case. You also see ancient writings about Christianity that suggest that if you pray, your God's love will chase out. It says divine eros drives out eros, meaning if one's consumed with lust, it's divine love that comes into that. Having an addiction removed, it's like a root being pulled out. Well, there's something else that's going to be sucked into it, as well as a vortex. It's like a spinning, cycle, and it runs you. Well, if that's removed, what is going to be replaced in there? It leaves a vacuum. You just can't pull it out and expect that golf is going to help you. But if you use these steps to get connected with God's love, it drives it out. Notice it's driving it out. It's not you pulling it out. You do the steps, you follow these principles, it will go away. That's my experience as a professional. And personally, it will just go away. You just need to be sticking with the steps and not trying to have your hands on it to try to handle it. Because as soon as you try to do that, that would be pride, and then it begins to fall apart. There's a lot here. Books. Yeah, prayer books. I use my prayer book, my faith tradition. I like that. I might as well talk a few things. Well, I'll just say that there's some prayers I like. Some of the prayers are things like, God, help me to greet all this day brings to me with spiritual tranquility. Grant that I may fully surrender myself to your holy will. In every hour of this day, reveal your will to me. Bless my dealings with all who surround me. And whatsoever news may reach me in the course of the day, teach me to accept it with a calm soul and the firm conviction that all is subject to your holy will. Direct my thoughts and feelings in all my words and actions. In all unexpected occurrences, do not let me forget that all is subject to your holy will. Help me to be straightforward, or honest, and wise with all those around me, neither embarrassing nor saddening anyone. Lord, grant me the strength to endure the fatigue of the coming day and all the events that take place during it. Direct my will. Teach me to believe, to hope, to be patient, to forgive, and to love. And people go, wow, that's pretty cool. If you're interested, I'll try to put a link there in the description box. Another prayer is useful. God, I do not know what to ask of thee. Thou alone know what are my true needs. You love me more than I myself know how to love. Help me to see my real needs which are concealed from me. I do not dare ask either for a cross or for consolation. I can only wait on thee. And it goes on. So again, if God answers those prayers, you'll have everything you need. So trying to put your heart where your mouth is. And of course, pray for what your needs are. Pray for things to be removed. And it's also time to do spiritual reading. Be mindful that some spiritual readings seem so good, but in fact, it could be telling you to use your own strength to fight things. And it's like, okay, be careful there. So, in the middle of the day, as we go through the day, we pause when agitated or doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. Aha! Agitated is just another word for angry, resentful. It's the beginning of I want what I want to have happen here. Even if it's such a good thing, like, oh, my loved one is being harmed, I'm going to get agitated. And it would seem so right to just go attack the person, but that may not be God's will. I may say, God, what do you want me to do here? Doubtful. Doubtful is another word for fear, anxiety. Again, I'm afraid I'm not going to get what I want. So what's the solution? To ask for the right thought or action. Okay. Really powerful. This seems a little bit off the subject, but I work a lot with drugs and alcohol and family members or even wives or spouses of sexaholics. So they come in, they say, Eric, I'm really upset because I feel like I'm failing. I keep enabling their addiction. I keep giving them money or I keep letting them live in the house. I should just kick them out. So like they're 30 years old. But then they're fearful that they're going to fall asleep. Or no, they're going to die. If they kick them out, they'll die. But then it's either pointed out to them or just the exact opposite, that they're enabling them and letting them be in their home still using drugs. They could die in a week by staying at home. And then they get to say, well, I maybe should have kicked him out. And now I contributed to his death. So they want me to have the answers. Well, I don't have the answers. I mean, I do. I know where to point them, but I'm not God. See, here's the thing. You can try to do this without God. I would say, it's funny to say good luck. Good luck on that, because it's not going to go very well. The heart of this program is God, not trying to be preachy, but it just is. If God exists, which I believe he does he not have a perfect answer to what to do with my adult loved one who is using drugs in the house? He does. He knows exactly whether it's the most loving thing to have him leave or to have him stay or to have you insist on drug tests or to get some treatment or to just let it alone and say nothing. When we are trying to drive everything, it all falls apart. But if we say, God, what do you want? And we close our eyes, we wait, might have a piece of paper, and we write down what comes to our mind, what we need to do. We'll eventually begin to get guidance and we'll begin to know what the right actions are. We ask literally, God, give me inspiration. That's power. but it, you know, inspiring, you know, power. But it's also a sense of inspired to do the right thing, energy to do the right thing. Give me a decision. That's an interesting phrase, and maybe it was just an oversight. Give me a decision, but it's like help me to decide is another way we would say that. And give me the right thought. Okay, what is the right thought here? We constantly remind ourselves we are no longer running the show. Back to that director. Humbly saying to ourselves many times each day, thy will be done. We are then in much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. We become more and more efficient. We do not tire so easily, for we are not burning up energy foolishly as we did when we were trying to arrange life to suit ourselves. It works. It really does. We alcoholics or sexaholics are undisciplined. And this is true. You don't have to be perfect at this. Just have to be willing and to do it. And so we let God discipline us or teach us in the simple way we have just outlined. But this is not all. There is more action. There is action and more action. Faith without works is dead. The next chapter is entirely devoted to step 12, which we'll cover next week. So by this time, you can really recover just doing what we've done. I'd say 1 to 2 weeks to get through all steps 1 through 9. And then 10, you just keep on, 10 and 11, you just keep on doing it every day. I didn't have this prepared. I'll be right back. So I have these note cards. I need to find the original file. That would be really great. But what I did is just post, you know, these are the questions we just read. Upon retire at night and upon awakening. Or I got it backwards, but whatever. Have this with you. Type it up. Write it in a little prayer book. Pretty soon you will begin to think like this. You'll start to really think in terms of, I'm mad at what they did. Wait a minute, what is God's will? I have to see the people as perhaps spiritually sick. Or oh, my wife had cancer. That was not fun, but it was certainly something we went through. And there were treatments where both sides looked good to us. What did we do? So we prayed and meditated and prayed and meditated until the right answer came. And we didn't even know we would go, in our case, to go to New York to get a second or fifth opinion, really, about this radioactive iodine. She had thyroid cancer. And I felt peaceful. I mean, it wasn't a joyride, but I felt peaceful knowing that God was going to direct us. And that's so different than us trying to fret and make it up ourselves. Big things sometimes are easier because it's so big, we know we're not more powerful than it. But it's the simple things like, do I go to work? Do I not go to work? Like last Tuesday, I had ready to do the live stream, which is every Tuesday, the next same time, 6:30 Pacific Standard Time. But felt not good, had a splitting headache, which I'm not. But I thought, well, I really want to do the stream. But I went home and rested and then got better. But again, and then learning from that, what might have been happening was ego or too much self-reliance trying to get these streams out to people. So I think those things are good for us. They help us realize that it's not about us. It's about just carrying a message. So I think we're going to conclude here. It's good to see you guys. And we'll do future streams. We have someone share something, which I've been pondering it through this thing. I'm not sure how to say your name, but it's why should God G-D perhaps a Jewish faith tradition help me? Good question. If we assume that God is, assume that God created all of us, assume that we have these problems because we live in the problemed world, some could call it sin, then who better to help us except the God who knows everything that helped us? Does he have to help us? I wouldn't go there, but I do know from my faith tradition that he does. It's just a given that there's nothing I can do to make him help me, but I can humbly come to him and ask for him to help me. When he helps us out of this problem, and I've seen hundreds of people get over this, there is such love and joy you can't imagine. Like, people go, wow, I found God through this. Their most darkest place or their most embarrassing, shaming behavior, in the midst of that, they found God. And everything else is built on that. There's many days where I go, well, I have no excuse to not believe in God or to doubt him because of everything he has saved or healed me from. So anyway, I wish you all a great week. Feel free to subscribe or leave comments or do the notification. Tell us what we could, if you want to see things in the future. Yeah, let's see if we have. Yeah, okay. Well, you guys take care and have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye.